Thank you, Hohem, for sponsoring this video. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And today I wanted to talk about some photography advice that I really wish I had when I first started out as a photographer. And these are things that I've learned over the years of being a photographer, and also things that I've learned just from other photographers who are much more seasoned than me. And these are some of the things that really stuck with me over the years. Now, I'm not going to sit here and blab. I want to jump straight into it, but I do have a free preset pack. There's a link in the description, and I hope you guys enjoy that. Number one, your photos might suck. They might royally suck when you're just starting out with photography. And guess what? That's totally okay. All of our photos suck when we're just starting out. And I know that this idea of a photo being good or not being good is 100% subjective. And when I say your photos suck, I mean subjectively, most people don't really like those images. They're just not appealing to the masses. And if you do feel like your photos suck and you're early on in your career, that is totally normal. It's okay to feel that way. Just know that you are going to get better. It's part of the process. Or if you are a more established photographer and you still feel like your photos suck, I certainly feel like that sometimes, that might be a case of the Dunning-Kruger effect, which states that the better we get at something, the worse we think we are, because we start to compare our work with other photographers and it makes us reflect negatively on ourselves. So it's totally normal to feel like your photos suck, but in reality, they might not. And if they do, that's okay, because you have something to work towards and you are going to get better over time. Just know that every great photographer started with a portfolio full of failures. So if you feel like that, don't worry, just keep shooting and you'll get better over time. Number two, learn to rely on your creativity and trust yourself. You might find yourself in a situation that absolutely sucks for photography. And those are the situations that separate a great photographer from an average photographer, because a great photographer can make something out of nothing. And I learned this really early on in my career. I was working with a client. We were doing a portrait shoot and they really wanted to shoot at this specific cafe. We go to that cafe and the lighting is absolutely horrendous. It's busy inside, and I knew that it was going to be really difficult to capture some images. And as I was sitting there, I was thinking, I'm screwed. Like, there's nothing I can do in this situation. And then something clicked in my head and I said, no, I have to figure it out. I need to rely on my creativity and trust myself that I can capture something compelling and interesting for this particular client. And that's exactly what I did. I just went after it. I started experimenting and trying different things, and I fell back onto my creativity and we walked away with something cool. So you are going to find yourself in situations that are not ideal for photography, whether you're shooting landscapes, portraits, food, it doesn't really matter. Those are the situations where great photographers really shine, because they trust themselves and they know that if they experiment and they try new things, they'll capture something interesting, even though the situation sucks for photography. Number three, your vision is the key, not your camera. And your vision is the way you see and interpret the world around you. And having good vision allows you to recognize good lighting or good composition, interesting colors, or something beautiful in a scene that most people wouldn't even notice. And this is exponentially more important than a photo that is super sharp or has the least amount of noise. None of that stuff matters. The only thing that really matters is capturing a story in your photo, and having good vision is going to allow you to notice all the different factors that culminate to create a beautiful image with a compelling story. Your vision really is the key to becoming a great photographer, and you can train your vision by just going out and shooting intentionally and being mindful of the photos that you're taking, noticing things while you're out and about. Even if you don't have a camera, that is how you're going to train your vision to become a better photographer. And I think this is a really good time to talk about gear. You don't need the latest and greatest cameras to capture beautiful photos. You just need something that is good enough to capture your creative vision. And if you have a camera that was purchased in the last 7 years or so, generally speaking, it's probably going to be good enough to capture that vision. And if you do feel like you're outgrowing your system and you've maximized it to the best of your abilities, then it might be time to upgrade. Now, with that said, while you might not need the latest and greatest camera and lenses to level up your photography, there are certain cheap accessories that can be super useful for us. Things like ND filters, tripods, or reflectors are super useful for us as creatives. And that's exactly why I accepted Hohem as the sponsor of today's video, because their new iSteady M7 smartphone gimbal is actually pretty sick, and I've been using it a ton over the last week, capturing creative shots and just experimenting with it, and I actually love this thing. My iPhone 15 Pro Max is an essential part of my kit. I use it for stories, I use it for B-roll, I use it for photography when I don't want to bring my big cameras out and about, the list goes on. But the iSteady M7 takes this thing to the next level level and allows me to capture much more stable and cinematic shots with a super small package. I don't have to bring my big Sony out anymore. I can just use this and capture some really cool shots on the go, whether I'm traveling, I'm vlogging, it doesn't matter. This thing is super, super capable. It has a 3-axis gimbal, which leads to some incredibly smooth shots, even with big phones. It supports up to 500 grams of weight. So my iPhone 15 Pro Max was totally fine and it was really easy to set up as well. Now it also has a built-in extension pole as well, which goes out to 193 millimeters, making it easy to get these super cool fake drone shots or low angle shots to kind of spice up your videos a little bit. But as a solo creator, there's definitely one feature that stands out from the others, and that is the magnetic AI tracking feature, which tracks you as you move in 360 degrees. It's incredibly functional because the gimbal has a built-in AI camera and fill light, which sits right on top of the gimbal, and that uses AI to track your movements. And you can enable this AI tracking purely based on hand gestures. If you give the camera an OK sign, it will automatically start tracking you. And when you're finished, just give it the palm sign and it will stop tracking you from there. And because the gimbal has a detachable 1.4-inch LCD screen, you can monitor yourself even if you're not standing right next to the gimbal. And with that detachable remote, you can also start and stop recording. You can move the gimbal around, you can switch between modes, and you can use it to activate the AI tracking feature as well. All you have to do is drag and drop a box over your subject, then hit the button on the side, and that will start that AI tracking, which makes it super easy to stay stuck onto your subject if you have a moving subject or if you want to track yourself. The fill light is also a super cool feature if you're filming in a low light environment, and you can change this from warm to cool or RGB if you want to capture some creative shots and you just want some different colors in your scene. And you can use all of these features using the native video app on your phone. You don't need an external app or Bluetooth to use any of these features because it's all done through the AI camera that's built into the gimbal. So if you're a solo creator like me, or you're vlogging, or you're traveling and you want to capture some cinematic shots without having to bring your camera everywhere you go, the Hohem i7 is actually a really cool product, and I'm excited to use it more to capture some B-roll and some better stories while I'm out and about. But thank you so much, Hohem, for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel. It is greatly appreciated. Now let's get back to the video. Number 4, shoot with other photographers. Everyone seems to think that photography is this solo endeavor where you go out and you capture photos on your own and then you go back to your editing cave and you edit those images. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Photography is like any other art form, and it benefits greatly from collaborative efforts. Even just going out and shooting with another photographer and seeing how they look at the world and capture the world with their camera and asking them for feedback, that is an incredible way for us to not only improve our photography skills and capture more interesting images, but perhaps more importantly, connect with another person that has something in common with you, and that is the love for photography or the love for creating something. And some of my best friends that I have in my life now came to me through this shared passion of photography. And I know for a fact that my work and my career would not be where it is today if I hadn't connected with these people through Instagram, met up with them, shot with them, and eventually became friends with them. So photography is a collaborative art form, and it's incredibly fun and rewarding to connect with other photographers or other creatives through this photography hobby. So I highly recommend going out and just making friends in your local community that are also interested in photography. Go to meetups, DM people on Instagram, just try to connect with people in your local area and go out and shoot with them. Number 5, patience is key. Now, I already talked about patience in the form of getting to where you want to be as a photographer, but now I'm talking about patience at the micro level. So you come upon a scene, and instead of just rushing through that scene and trying to move on to the next one because you don't notice anything particularly beautiful when you first step into that scene, be patient, slow down, and look a little bit deeper. And this kind of goes back to the idea of training your vision, right? Noticing things that other people don't notice. And if you can step into a scene and you can be patient, you can certainly find something beautiful to capture in that image. And this is something that I have been working on recently because it's something that I'm really not good at, especially when I'm shooting street photography and I'm in a bustling city and there's so much going on. I'm often moving on from scenes too quickly, looking for the next best thing, instead of sitting there for 5 to 10 minutes, waiting to see what happens and looking a little bit deeper for something beautiful in that scene. I think this is a really good skill for all photographers to develop, regardless of what you're shooting, whether you're shooting street photography, landscape photography, food photography, just having the patience to sit there and look at that scene a little bit deeper and find something interesting within that scene. That is a really crucial skill for us as photographers, and something that I personally am trying to work on now, because like I said, I move a little bit too quickly in cities. I get excited and I want to see what's around the next corner. So slowing down and being patient is a skill that all photographers can benefit from. Number 6, and this is a quick one, please, please, please back up your photos. You won't realize how important this is until it's too late. And I'm speaking from experience here. Back in 2015, I hiked the abandoned section of the Great Wall of China. It was beautiful conditions. It was absolutely amazing, but I was such a noob. I just put all of my photos onto my MacBook, and then somehow they disappeared over the course of the next few months. So please make sure that you're using an external hard drive and you're backing up that hard drive to the cloud or another external hard drive. This is going to save you a massive headache in the future if that hard drive corrupts or you lose your computer or something crazy happens. You want to make sure that you still have access to those photos. So make sure you back up your images, and that is probably the best advice that I have in this entire video. Number 7, study the classics, because timeless photography lasts forever. And I think in this day and age, most of us are consuming images through Instagram or through YouTube. And these are photos that have been shot recently. And I think a really important question to ask yourself is, how are your photos going to look in 10, 20, 30, 40 years in the future? Do you want to be able to look back at those images and see something that's timeless? Or do you want to look back at those images and think, what the hell was I doing? That looks ridiculous. This was a photography trend at the time. And I'm not saying that modern photography trends are going to die. I think it's important for us to experiment with modern photography trends, and the old way is only the correct way. I don't think that's true whatsoever, but I do think it's important for us to also look at the classics, look at how photographers used to shoot, look at film stock and see how these images are rendered, and also incorporate that into our work as well, because we know that works, we know that looks good. And while the modern stuff is cool and it might be trending at this moment in time, I think it's always important to take note of the greats that have come before us, study their work, see how they used composition and lighting and story and subject matter to create their images. And in my experience, after consuming a lot of this classic work, I can notice that my style is starting to shift towards this filmic look as well. I'm not saying my photos are like a one-to-one film photo recreation, but I'm starting to gravitate back toward that kind of natural, organic film look in my work recently. And personally, I love how it looks. So I think it's important to ask yourself, how are your photos going to look in 10, 20, 30 years? It's okay to follow modern trends, but also pay attention to what the greats have done before us as well. Number 8, your camera settings don't have to be perfect. Good composition and good story will trump camera settings 100% of the time. As long as you're choosing camera settings that are relatively close and you have a decent exposure in that image, that is more than enough to capture a great photo. And honestly, a lot of the time, my camera settings are not optimized, especially when I'm shooting street photography and I'm out and about. I probably could have used a slightly better shutter speed, or I could have opened up my aperture a little bit more, so I could have brought that ISO down. Ultimately, it really doesn't matter. And if you show someone both of those photos next to each other and one of them has optimal settings and the other one doesn't, most people are not going to know. What they're going to remember from that image is the story of that image and how that image made them feel. So don't let technical perfection paralyze you from taking the photo. Shoot an aperture priority if that's easier for you. I certainly do, especially when I'm shooting street, because ultimately your camera settings don't matter as much as you think they do. Number 9, don't get caught up in what other photographers are doing or what other photographers are shooting. And once again, I'm speaking from experience here. As I grew as a photographer and I found all these other epic photographers on Instagram and YouTube, I started to compare myself to them, and that wreaked havoc on my mental health. It is so important for us to make sure that we're creating just as much, if not more, than we're consuming. And if you're consuming too much, you can fall into that trap where you really start to get down on yourself, and it can greatly affect the quality of your work. And this is especially bad if you're earning a living from photography, which is what I do. So I've learned over the years to not compare myself to what other photographers or other creatives are doing, but instead stay on my path, focus on what I can focus on, and try to be the best photographer that I can possibly be. And number 10 is don't quit. If you got into photography because you love photography and you love capturing images, but you're not getting the response that you were hoping for on Instagram, or people aren't liking your images, or you feel like you're just not good enough to make it as a pro if you do want to go pro, please, please, please do not quit. You never know when that next opportunity is on your horizon. And all of the big opportunities that I've had as a photographer, both from a hobbyist perspective when I was just starting out and as a pro now, have come through email at completely random times on an average Tuesday when I was having lunch with my girlfriend. These opportunities really can come out of nowhere. So if you're at that point where you're like, screw photography, it's not bringing me what I want, if you stay the course, a really great opportunity might be just over the horizon. But I hope you guys found the advice in this video useful. And I've talked about these things here or there in different videos or in some of my online courses, but I wanted to take the most important advice that I've learned in my career as a photographer and put them into one video for you guys to easily consume. So I really hope it was helpful for you. And there's a lot more things that I've learned as well. And I want to continue sharing that on this YouTube channel with you. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you have any other advice that you think is essential for photographers to know, regardless of where they're at in their career? If you do, please leave a comment down below and I would love to check those out. But with that said, thank you guys so much for making it to the end of this video. And also thank you so much, Hohem, for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel. I will catch you guys again very soon in the next one.